Founded in 1999 by Jason Burks, Retrospec Films is Oklahoma's largest turnkey production company of its kind. With over 2 decades of experience, a full-time team of over 20 talented individuals, a 12,000 square foot studio to create in, and thousands of successfully completed projects in both entertainment and advertising. You're in the right place if you like hearing some good old filmmaking stories. On this podcast, we will discuss the pursuit of creating things and the problems we solve by digging up projects from across the last 20 years and giving you a glimpse behind the scenes where the magic happens. You're listening to Retrospec Films from the Archives.
Hey everybody, and thanks for joining us on Retrospec from the Archives. This is our in-house podcast where we dig up projects from the past and talk about the problems we solved and all the creative ideas that we came up with and executed. So joining me today, we have Jessica Hightower, client manager, producer, and we have my wife, Tayler Burks.
Hello.
Creative development director, writer. Anything else that you like to /?
Just here for the party.
Just here for the party. Good. Well, today we are going to talk about a very unique project that we did, which was for the City of Jenks. This was actually pretty recent. We did this at the end of 2023. And this was a really exciting project because we like doing things that are for good people. And firefighters happen to be a group that I think most people could agree are some of the best people fighting to save lives and protect property and all those things. So why don't we start, I'm trying to think where we begin this project. Maybe with you, Jessica? I don't know. Were you around when the first request came in of, hey, we might need something?
Yeah. Actually, they were asking me after we did the City of Jenks video, you know, for the event that they were having, the luncheon.
Yep.
We got an email from them asking for a quote and all of that stuff. So then I put some numbers together, and it was kind of hanging there for a little bit because we were like, oh, is this going to happen? And I think Lauren asked, like, hey, are you guys still interested? And then they were like, yes, we are. So we set up an appointment to have a meeting with them. It was Tayler, Lauren, and myself. We went there. We met with Chief Ostrom and then the assistant chief. I cannot remember his name. Sorry. I know that he pranks people with water bottles. So if you guys ever go there, don't open his water chest. Anyways, so we went and had a meeting with them and Ember, the therapy dog. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's so cute.
But yeah, we talked about, you know, what they really wanted, and Tayler showed them a video, and it was kind of exactly what they were looking for. So she went back and wrote, and she came up with a really good concept. So.
Well, I think it's important before we dig deep into the creative now, why don't we take a look at this video? So this video was, I think 3, 4, 5 minutes long, somewhere in that space. Yeah. So why don't we fire that off and let you get a chance to watch that.
What does it take to persist? I can tell you, it isn't just one thing. It takes resilience and drive. Looking to your left and your right. Realizing you might die, but still persevering. It takes intellect, excellence. It takes you, all of you. This is our house. Are you in it?
We look at serving our citizens as the number one priority. And I think that's what it really means to be a firefighter, is to be willing to serve, willing to sacrifice some things for that service.
In the City of Jenks, you're a name, not a number. Here you have a purpose. You're a piece to the big picture, a piece of the puzzle.
What it means to be a firefighter is to be a part of something bigger than yourself, and also to become a part of the family.
We all rely on each other. Since we don't have as many in our department, we have to all be at our best at all times.
I look for drive in a new recruit. You can't come here and float. If you don't do it, somebody else has to.
They got to be here, ready to work and ready to drive and ready to push themselves.
You know, we see things that not the everyday person sees.
Are you gonna keep your composure?
Here at Jenks, our culture is a culture of excellence.
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 To be a firefighter for the City of Jenks is a big responsibility.
You're going to make a lot of sacrifices.
But there's also a lot of rewards.
If you are willing to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation and you're willing to work through a little bit of mental pain and mental anguish, the rewards on the other side are worth it. This is the best job in the world.
Okay, so I want to start, let's just talk about maybe even what the ask was, and then Tayler, I'd love for you to dig a little bit into the creative. So from what I know, I think they got a grant of some sort, and they said, okay, we can hire a couple more people.
9.
But 9 more people, oh my gosh. But we want to hire the best people.
Yes.
So how do we attract the best people? So Tayler, why don't you talk a little bit, like tell us what was the approach on the creative for you?
Well, I think it really was listening to that, like the type of people that they were wanting to get. And I think that they were very like, they drilled into us, like we want people who want to work hard, who know that they're going to be going into dangerous situations, who have grit, who have tenacity, who are determined individuals. And they really wanted to speak to that type of person. They were really like, I think they talked a lot about military veterans, like people who weren't afraid to get their hands dirty. They even said that, get your hands dirty.
Yes.
So I, of course, go straight to tones and moods similar to that of like an Under Armour commercial, something that really does speak to grit and to what it takes to become an elite athlete and what it takes to become an elite firefighter. So I found an Under Armour commercial that was inspiring to me, and then I went from there. I wrote a voiceover first, and then kind of took some of the imagery that the chief talked about in that meeting. Like, they really wanted to make sure they have this sign above the doors that says,
yes,
expect fire, expect casualty. Or victims.
Yes, yeah.
Not casualties. Expect fire, expect victims.
Yes.
And some of these other things like teamwork, all these keywords that they were saying in the meeting, and then thinking through like, okay, how can we capture visuals that really paint that picture? And so I detailed out scene scenarios and then wrote voiceover that went to it. And then in our pitch, I was like, they were really wanting a 30-second commercial to show. So I tried to make it to where the opening of this, and I was like, well, we should also do a brand video so we can hear from you guys yourselves to speak to the people that you're wanting to hire. But do it in a way where the intro of the video can just be cut down to your 30-second commercial. So that really was like the way I thought through the creative is how do we make a piece that can be long form but then cut down to still be really gritty and call attention to the right people.
It's pretty common, just to kind of get your thoughts on this again, but I mean, people usually do come to us and don't know what they want completely. But usually we will find that having multiple iterations, durations for different usages is intelligent and easy.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that from a writing perspective, maybe with this project. Like, do you have to write all new scripts, or what do you do?
No, with this project, I really did just that. I wrote the voiceover, which I made 30 seconds long because I knew that they wanted the 30-second cut down. And then because it was all about promoting the fire department to new recruits, we thought it would be important for them to have something on their website that was maybe a little bit more extensive into the culture of the fire department, who they are as a team, where they expect to go. And I think another audience that they were wanting to speak to was the community of Jenks as well. And so this is like, in my head, I was just like, okay, well, it's easy to do that. It's easy to speak to the emotion of grit in the beginning because you want the beginning to be the most captivating, or not the most captivating part, but you want it to immediately capture the attention of the audience. And so, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but I just kind of thought of it in that form of like, how do we make this multiple versions for multiple different platforms? And of course, a commercial on TV isn't necessarily a brand video. It's something that's more like, oh man, I want to go learn more about that. And then when you click on the website, there's where you learn more about it.
Yeah. So Jess, let's talk about the producing of it and then the shooting of it. You were involved in both of those things.
Yeah, I was.
So talk to me first. I mean, what did the producing involve with these ideas?
Well, like Tayler was talking about, we wanted their brand video to be amazing. And at first they were like, do we need to have interviews in this? And we said, let's go ahead and make sure that we get interviews from not just the captain or the chief or the captains, but everyone. So when we went in, we were like, yes, we need to do interviews. And when we had the interviews, we actually had them from a guy, I think, that may have been there for like a month, maybe 2.
Wow.
So, I mean, there was a wide spectrum too. But the producing was a lot of fun because I got to look at Tayler's creative and like the script and see like, okay, where is this spot that we need to shoot? And, there was a house on fire. Yes. There was a lot of stuff. There was a place where we needed to show like innovation. Yep. Like there were several different points where I kind of had to ask the chief, well, where do you want to do this? Where do you want to do this? Where could we set a house on fire? And he was like, we actually have a house that we can set on fire. Well, not set on fire, but, smoke out, I guess.
Yeah.
And at the studio, we have a really cool fog machine, but their fog smoke machine, wow, it's amazing.
Like we need one.
Yes, we do. I was like, where can we buy them? But it was really interesting to talk to the chief about all of that. And they also have this mechanism where they can kind of rappel down buildings, and like we went to a parking garage that was off of Main Street, and that was another cool element too, to find out that they do this. And that was the project that they showed of innovation, because they all were working together to get this. And I don't know, it was really cool too, because we were able to bring Climb Tulsa into it too. We were like, oh yeah, we're climbers. But producing was a lot of fun. And then on the shooting aspect, asking all of the interview questions to the fire department, they all had similar answers, but it was all in the same vein of excellence. We want the best. We only want people that want to work hard. And so that was really awesome to hear, because here at Retrospec, we're all about that. We work hard. We're in the trenches together. We're always going. So to have that connection with them too, and to hear that, I was like, gosh, these guys are awesome. Yeah. And at the end, after we like set the house on fire, which I was the victim, and I didn't think about this during like the scripting and stuff. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, it says they're saving someone. And then I like look up from the script, and Jacob was like, what? And I was like, it has to be me. And so he was in the inside of the house, and it was pure smoke. And he was like, all right, act like your legs hurt. So I'm laying there like acting like my leg is hurt, and these firefighters bust in and they pick me up. I didn't think that they were expected that I was going to be dead weight, but I was like, I'm going to make it real. So they actually had to lift me up, and I was just like coming out of the house. But yeah, it was really exciting.
That's fun.
One thing that I thought was kind of unique, I mean, this wasn't exactly like a super high budget project. I would say for us it's probably pretty low budget. Yeah. And probably with wisdom, right? Because I mean, how much money that they're donated to or they get a grant from should go towards things like this, you know? And that being said, obviously we try to always over deliver, but I mean, this project was like you and Jacob mostly on the shoot, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So this is like one guy shooting a camera handheld.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is great.
I mean, and this guy, too. I picked up the camera.
Oh, did you? All right.
I did.
Oh, nice.
I picked up the camera several times. And, my husband, Jacob, was very nervous because he always likes to be, you're going to break it. I'm not going to break it. But he set it up somewhere too. And he was like, okay, press record. So I pressed it. Well, I guess the side button sticks on the C200 or C70 or whatever. Yeah. So then I pressed it, to turn it off. And he was like, that's been running for 5 minutes. And I was like, well, we've got footage of the truck pulling out and coming back in. It's fine. But yeah, I picked up cameras. Anyway, sorry.
That's awesome.
No, that's great. Tayler, talk a little bit about the post-production process. I don't know, in the edit of this, did you chime in and give any thoughts or direction? And who did edit this one?
Kyle did. Okay. And I did give some feedback, but Kyle mainly just I can't speak to his exact process, but I'm assuming got the script and the footage and then just kind of, based it off of the overall tone of what we were going for.
Yeah.
And I think he did a fantastic job. I wouldn't say like all the visuals exactly line up to the script, but at the same point, I think that that's okay. Like that would be the other hard part about producing it is you're using real firefighters and you kind of have to find the situations that fit into the mood based off of what.
Yeah.
Kyle did edit it in a way that, you know, gave us chills though. Like
it was amazing.
Like after he edited it, I was like, Tayler, you have to watch this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I actually I'm not very emotional, but I did kind of cry because it was really cool to see those guys. I don't know.
Well, and he did a great job at like playing to the mood and Kyle's a fantastic editor. And so I think he's really talented at like looking through the script, understanding the overall concept of the creative and really driving it home with his edits, whether or not that the visuals completely line up. But I felt like he did a fantastic job. And again, like Jess was saying, like everyone freaked out. Everyone loved it. Like when we sent it to Jenks, everyone was so ecstatic about the edits. And I was too. I think from a creative perspective, like I think he did hit the nail on the head.
That's great. Well, let me bring Kyle and Jacob in here, and we'll chat a little bit more about some of the execution stuff.
Woohoo!
Okay, we've got Hightower, Director of Field Production, and Kyle, Director of Post-Production, joining me now as we continue this conversation about the Jenks Fire Department recruiting video. So let's talk a little bit about specifics in the shooting. I talked with Jess a little bit. She was telling us about being dead body weight, getting rescued from the smoke. Tell me a little bit about your approach to shooting. Like, you know, we've established that this is, you know, it's a smaller budget project, smaller crew, but we still want it to be great because that's important.
Yeah.
Tell me kind of your approach with some of the things that you knew you needed to achieve on how to capture this.
Yeah, so, you know, it's a firefighting recruitment video. So in a lot of ways, it's just going to be really cool shots of what they do. And, you know, the training aspect of things, all the way up to them driving out of the overheads. Basically, all of the things that we went after was things that they do in their everyday, which they don't look at as, like, significant. And when I get out there and I'm like, wait, you guys run into burning buildings. How do we showcase that? How do we actually, you know, give it credit? And it was just, you know, navigating that space of, you know, most of these guys are humble and this is just what they do every day, so they don't think it's something special to them. And it's just navigating around, you know, the training aspect of it, and then of course trying to find a location to cheat a fire and make that scene happen without actually setting a house on fire. But, you know, all those things came together and they do that in their training elements. So we were able to, you know, mimic a house fire through some of their training elements and create that story in that way. So, you know, just taking some of their training aspects and then turning it into some real life scenarios, we were able to film that and make it look legitimately real, like we were saving somebody out of a fire.
Tell me a little bit about the cinematography approach. I mean, were you like single lens, multiple lenses, handheld, gimbal? Like what all did you employ?
Yeah, we were 2 cameras. It was 2 handheld cameras most of the time. All the interviews were shot on tripod, and you know, we shaped the light and did everything. I think there was about 8 interviews, and each one, you know, I tried to give it its own individual look and feel. And then on top of that, all the B-roll was shot with 2 different cameras with cine zoom lenses. So we had the 14 to 40, I believe, and the 30 to 90 ingenues.
Yeah.
And they were on C70, and it was just it was a combo of grabbing, you know, a wide, getting an establishing shot, and putting that camera down, getting the tights, and getting all the tights I needed. I was working off of 2 cameras and just trying to make it all happen, getting the establisher and then getting into the depth of what was happening.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's take it over to post-production, Kyle. I mean, you know, these kind of projects, obviously, like this one had a script, kind of. Definitely had a development. This is sort of the treatment of what we're doing. But then you're also, you know, you have to treat it like a documentary a little bit, which those things come alive in the post. Talk to me about this project in post and what your personal direction was as you started it and finished it.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to make it what it didn't need to be. So really, I let the interviews of the firefighters tell the story, and they talked about culture and excellence. And I really didn't have to do much to try to write a story because all of their interviews and all of their sound bites told it for me. And so really just a matter of, getting all of those sound bites to come together in a thoughtful way, in a way that, makes you really interested in, whether you're a person that's actually wanting to join the fire department or whether you're a person who lives in Jenks that just wants to be proud of their own, of their own fire department. So there's a lot of that. And then, that scene that you were talking about, the firefighting scene, that was a really cool way to open it. So there was a wide establishing shot of y'all getting up to it, and then there was firefighters coming inside. And that was a really cool way to leave it, a little tense in the very beginning, because you have this scene, you're like, I know these firefighters are going into this house. I don't know if it's, what the situation is, but, kind of telling the story of what they get to do every day. Because like you said, we don't know what they do in every day. So we get to tell it in a thoughtful and an inspiring way. So it was really just a matter of grabbing all those sound bites and then pulling it together in such a way. And then you can tell just from all the interviews, from Chief Ostrom to all the other firefighters, like they care so much about their city and they care so much about each other. And you can see it in, their interactions as they're like in their little hangout lobby space. And you can see it whenever they're, all cohesive and all in one accord while they're at a location. And so really I didn't have to do much, but just make sure that, what the audience is seeing is truly their community and truly their culture.
Yeah. They are a group of awesome guys. I've yet to meet a firefighter that isn't a solid dude. There's just something about, the fabric they're cut from. It's a very, very awesome job to be a part of. It was funny. They were surrounding me and going, "Well, what are you doing? What's your job?" And I was like, "Well, I work here at Retrospec Films." And like, "Well, if you don't work there, you come work for us." And they're like, if I didn't have such an awesome job here, I considered it. I was like, man, that would be such a humbling job, because all those guys, they don't look at their everyday as a significant thing, which is awesome. It's so humbling. It's like, you guys do this for us and for the community, and it really shows. These guys are awesome. So, I mean, if that's something you're looking for, I would highly recommend go and put in an application, because you never know. You just never know.
Yeah, it's a valid point. Well, we appreciate you guys joining us today. And if you do happen to be out there and think you might like to be a firefighter, well, we would recommend that you contact the Jenks Fire Department.
Please do.
We appreciate you guys joining us. Hopefully you learned some cool things about filmmaking and enjoyed watching this video that we got to do for the City of Jenks. Make sure you check out our website, retrospecfilms.com, and you can check out other podcasts. We have about 30 different episodes now of various projects that we have done. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode of From the Archives.
Bye.
Bye.